Rutherford makes his third pit stop.
Johnny Rutherford rolls the Team McLaren car into victory lane.
We want to be the most exciting racing team in the world.
McLaren contests 5 championships, Formula One, INDYCAR, Extreme E, Formula E coming up, Esports of course. What are the benefits of contesting multiple series like that?
There's a variety of benefits. So, first remit was to get the Formula One team back on track, and I think, we've had our first win in almost a decade in pole and podiums, so we're definitely not where we want to be, but I would say we're back on track and headed the right direction. Our corporate partners all have different goals and objectives, so if you look at, Formula One being our center of gravity, if you'd like, North America is hugely important. So we got involved in INDYCAR racing because however big Formula One gets in America, and it's getting very big, we wanted to have another layer on our cake, so to speak. In Extreme E, where we have our first female racing driver. So again, our corporate partners, our fans, our employees who want to engage in our activities to have a real great platform around gender equality and sustainability is important to all of us. That's why we're in those two sports. Esports is obviously the younger generation. Formula One's clearly our center of gravity, and so all these different racing series that we're participating in are to kind of complement and round out the opportunities at McLaren Racing. So if you're a fan, employee, a corporate partner, you have many different avenues in which to engage with McLaren Racing. I joined McLaren in December of 16. The brief was to get McLaren Formula One back to the front. The brief was to get the McLaren brand back to the front. My first season, we finished 9th in the championship. I think the worst year in the history of McLaren. Morale was not great, and of course we were disappointing our race fans. So all the important metrics, the needle was pointed down, and the brief was to fix that. I looked at it here. I was joining, my favorite racing team of all time, and this iconic, dominant racing team, which is what I grew up watching. I knew there were a tremendous amount of great people here, because there's a lot of people that have won a lot of championships and a lot of races here, but they needed some direction.
It all starts at the top. It permeates down from you. What does Zak Brown stand for? Racing.
I absolutely love racing. Business. I've run companies my whole life. I haven't started my own company in and around motor racing, so the kind of the business of racing. I love my job. I love showing up here every day, so I hope that rubs off on everyone, that this is a great place to come work.
How do you feel you've changed the work ethos inside the team?
I think the work ethic's always been fantastic. I think we needed a little bit of a reset. That started with going to our beautiful historic Papaya, and you look back on the results that McLaren has. Unbelievable. Second most successful Formula One team of all time. The only racing team to win the Triple Crown, Monaco, Indianapolis 500, and Le Mans. So I look back and am very proud of our history, but things move on, and leaders have different styles, and mine's very much of kind of work hard, play hard, with the play being the racing part, because we are kind of big kids racing big racing cars. And so I think trying to bring a lot of passion, a lot of fun, but at the same time a lot of seriousness and a real desire to win everywhere, on the track, off the track, and hopefully that's what's coming through.
We'll start with Formula One. It's been a year of tough decisions for you. How hard has that been on you personally?
It's been a very tough year, and it's personal. Business is personal. Specifically, Daniel, who's been tremendous to work with and gave us our first win. We had a lot of fun together, and we had a lot of frustration together that it didn't work. I think the challenging part is being judged by people that aren't really close to it, and everyone has an opinion, and that's fine, and that's sport. I think you can't be in sport and then not kind of have a thick skin that the fans in the grandstands or the media are going to have their views, and you just need to be grounded in, I know what really happened. I know the relationship that I really have with Daniel and his management, and how transparent it was and how collaborative it was, and it wasn't easy on anyone, but it wasn't what a lot of people made it out to be. And that's frustrating because you kind of unfairly get accused of certain actions, which and he knows, and those that are close to it know, that's actually not what happened. But I think, we're in a high profile sport, and what makes our sport great are fans that have opinions. I think in today's day and age, unfortunately, I think we're seeing a lot of people that overstep what's an appropriate comment, but that's the world we live in. And I think as long as those that are close to us know what really happened, you just kind of roll with the punches.
And how has the decision to let Daniel go impacted the rest of the team?
It was tough. We all love Daniel. I mean, he's such a great spirit in the garage and on the radio and at the MTC. But sometimes things, don't work out, and it's kind of the great mystery because he definitely has the talent. He showed us that in Monza. He's won 8 Grand Prix. That's not one because everyone got wiped out in turn 1 in Monza. He took the lead and he was gone. So frustrating for all of us. But the memory of Monza is to date my favorite memory in my 30 years in motorsports. And I got to thank Daniel for that. And I very much hope to see him on the grid again in Formula One, which is his desire. And the door remains open for him to be in some McLaren in the future if the stars aligned. I'd love to go racing with him again.
Tell us, why have you chosen to replace Daniel with a rookie?
We think Oscar's going to be a sensational racing driver. If you look at his career to date, he's won a lot of championships in his first year, which always tells you a driver's special. He's got a great mental approach to the sport. And now that we feel that Lando has a lot of experience, we feel like we have a great blend of experience and youth. Our experience just also happens to have youth. So I think we sit here very excited with the potential of our driver lineup of Lando and Oscar for the foreseeable future.
You've raced a lot in your time. Does that help you when it comes to choosing racing drivers?
I think it does, not only in choosing racing drivers, but how to work with racing drivers, but then also in the racing environment. I've been around a lot of racing teams. I know what great looks like. I know what not great looks like. I've been around a lot of Formula One teams, a lot of INDYCAR teams, a lot of NASCAR teams, a lot of sports car teams. I've been around drag racing teams. So greatness all looks the same regardless of what racing series you're in. And not being so great all looks the same regardless of what racing series you're in. So I think having been around racing my entire life and driven, I think that gives me a lot of good perspectives on kind of how to assess what's going on inside a garage.
Well, let's talk about the experience side of the driver lineup next year. Lando Norris, age 23. He's done 4 years with McLaren now. How has he continued to evolve as a driver?
He's just getting better and better. He puts together some amazing qualifying laps. I don't think he probably gets enough credit for how awesome he can be when it's time to set a lap. We'll be in free practice 3 and then bang, there it comes in qualifying when he needs to do it in Q3, and wow, where'd that come from? And he does that often. He makes very few mistakes, rarely makes a big mistake. So if I look at when he started versus now, he's got a very high level of confidence, but not arrogance. And he's definitely at one with the team in the racing car. He puts together unbelievable qualifying laps, and his racecraft, I think that's probably, if I look at season one to now, his racecraft is exponentially better.
While we're talking drivers, let's talk about the driver development testing program with the 2021 MCL 35. It's been busy with various drivers around the racetracks of Europe. How integral is that program to the team?
The testing program is very, very important. Pato, our INDYCAR sensation, has now won a handful of races for us. We have an obligation to Formula One to run 2 free practice ones, and we want to put in drivers that we think have Formula One potential, because you never know, what's going to happen and what you might need. And we also want drivers that can help us develop towards that weekend. So we've put Pato in, upcoming free practice one. And then Alex Palau, who's an IndyCar champion, has done his free practice one, did a fantastic job. He has also done quite a bit of testing. And so, I think you always need to have, you never know if a driver's going to get COVID, you need reserve drivers. And we think those are 2 drivers that are in the McLaren family that have tremendous potential. And so we want to give them good mileage, get them prepared for the free practice ones, and then see what the future holds.
Let's look at the bigger picture now, Zak. At the way Formula One is booming around the world. We're seeing record TV audiences, we're seeing record trackside audiences. How is that benefiting McLaren?
I have never seen Formula One more popular than it is today. I've never seen the teams healthier than they are today. I've never seen the amount of corporate partners in the sport, and certainly the journey that McLaren has been on. As you mentioned, TV ratings up, record number of races, record number of attendees, digital through the roof. It's awesome. I think what I'm most excited about is I think we're actually just getting started. I think now with the cost cap, over time, we're going to see a leveling of the playing field. So you're going to go from 1 or 2 dominant teams to hopefully 5 or 6 that can win races, and 3 or 4 fighting for the championship. I think that will then make the sport even more exciting, which will draw in more fans. The sport is taking off in North America. We haven't even been to Las Vegas yet. That's going to be another shot in the arm. They've just announced a very substantial television agreement with ESPN, ABC. It will be the best broadcast coverage, and that's just in America. And we've got new races in the Middle East. So the sport is unbelievably healthy, and now you have, with the cost cap, all these teams can afford to be in Formula One. We were losing 100 million pounds when I started, which is a documented number, to where now we're cash flow positive and going to be turning a profit.
You talk about the grid closing up because of the cost cap. When do you think we're going to start to really see that?
I think probably another 2 years. I think even though we're all kind of on the same money now, spend, some teams have bigger infrastructures. We're still waiting for our wind tunnel, which is down the road, to be done, which will be done here shortly, and new simulation. So even though everyone's kind of on an equal playing field, or most teams from an annual expenditure standpoint, a handful of the teams have come in with a better technology infrastructure, which we're catching up on, and some other teams are. So I think that will need to happen. And then anytime you have a new regulation that came out like it did, someone gets it right and someone gets it wrong, and then what ends up happening is everyone sees who got it right and they gravitate towards what they've seen, kind of what works from an aerodynamic point of view. So if you look at Formula One historically, I think I might get my year wrong, but it was maybe 2012 12, which was the end of a regulation where you had a lot of different winners that year. So I think as these regulations stabilize, people will catch up. I think in a couple of years' time, it's going to be an awesome competition.
McLaren has been racing in IndyCar full-time since 2020. First, can you explain to us why McLaren needs an IndyCar team?
Absolutely. North America is the answer. When we look at what gets our fans excited, where we sell our beautiful road cars, and what our corporate partners want as far as, you know, kind of market penetration, North America comes right to the top of the list. And you know, when we got started on the journey, it wasn't long ago, Formula One wasn't very popular in North America. It's amazing what's happened in a short period of time, a lot thanks to Drive to Survive, you know, the Netflix show. But we felt we wanted to have a larger presence in North America than all the other Formula One teams. So we're the only team in IndyCar, and it's really to serve the needs of our fans, our employees, and our partners in a very important market.
Are you pleased with progress over the last 3 years?
Very pleased with progress. When we acquired the team, great team, Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, but not a very well-funded team. Always had an awesome partner in Aero that kind of covered one car, but then they kind of had to piece together the second car. They didn't have a lot of infrastructure. So it was a smaller team that we felt had a lot of potential if we could kind of put our weight behind it. And so now what we acquired was this great little team that had tons of potential, and I think, you know, working together with them, we've had some leadership changes. We brought in Gavin Ward to run the racing team, who has a great pedigree of both Formula One with Red Bull and Penske's organization in IndyCar, so I think he can really lead the way. We have a great leadership team that was there before we were on the scene, so I think we've just turbocharged it, and now we are, you know, championship caliber racing team with 3 cars.
Real cross-pollination of partners as well between IndyCar and Formula One.
Yeah, for sure. We have Aero, who have joined us from IndyCar to Formula One. We've had BAT from Formula One who joined us to IndyCar. Tessos, you know, Mission. It's great, and that's one of the reasons why we have it, is to give our partners the opportunity to, you know, I want this to be my core program, but I want to have a little bit of this. And so that's just providing the opportunity. Same thing with drivers and talent. You know, we've had the IndyCar team here at the MTC quite a bit, see where is there some Formula One knowledge and know-how, and the other way around. So it's definitely one big happy family of motor racing.
Let's talk drivers. First of all, why Alex Rossi for the 3rd car?
We think he's a championship caliber driver. He's won a lot of races. Indy 500 winner, of course. Has kind of that Formula One mindset. So we like his experience, his professionalism, because we are a young team. So we think Felix, Pato, and Alex is a great combination of youth and experience, and they're all very fast.
You've run 3 cars at Indy for the past few years. How will expanding to 4 help you?
Experience, knowledge, technology sharing. You know, Tony Kanaan is very successful. He finished 3rd right behind us this last year. He's, of course, won the race before, and I think he brings more experience to give us 4 competitive cars, because we'll just have more information.
Pato did FP1 in Abu Dhabi. Can you envisage a day where the F1 drivers might go and do some IndyCar?
Lando's mentioned he'd like to do the Indy 500 one day, and of course, one of my first days on the job was bringing over Fernando Alonso to do the Indy 500, which was such an awesome experience for everybody. So yeah, you know, the calendars are pretty crazy these days, but I think racing drivers like to drive racing cars, and yeah, I could see that day happening.
And do you feel you have everything in place in IndyCar now for a concerted championship challenge?
I think we do. I think we're still young in that process, but you know, we've been challenging for the championship going down to the last one or two races, so we've been knocking on the door. We have a new race shop coming, so much like we're doing in Formula One, investing in the team, we're still building out the infrastructure on INDYCAR, but I think we'll be winning races again next year.
Sustainability is at the heart of everything you're doing here at McLaren. So let's move it towards electric rally and racing now. Extreme E, first of all. Why go in this direction?
So that was a new adventure for us. Forgive the pun. We looked at that, and there were a few things that really appealed to us. One, gender equality, very important to all the men and women here at McLaren, again, our fans and our partners. So having a racing series where you have a male and female driver, we really liked that. We love the type of content it creates. You know, it's not a big hospitality event, so it's all digital. We've got a great digital team here, so we felt it was great, exciting content. And it's about sustainability and highlighting where climate has impacted locations around the world. So we felt it was something we could anchor our sustainability desires off of, learn from, contribute, highlight, and bring our partners along for the ride, so to speak. So that's ultimately why we entered Extreme E.
This is McLaren's first foray into rallying. How different is it to racing?
It's really no different to racing because it's racing. You're trying to beat the other 9, 10 vehicles. It's a different type of racing, that's for sure. You know, we've got a great team on it. Lena and Tina Gade, the two sisters, kind of you know, engineer the car. They're very experienced. They've won Le Mans. They've been in INDYCAR, so they're very serious engineers who've done a great job. So I think it's kind of no different than other racing. You got to get the best drivers you can, have the best equipment, the best crew, the best strategy, and it's a lot of fun. I've been to a couple of the races, and you know, when the lights go out, it just feels like another race. You're trying to beat that car that's right next to you.
But how tough an environment is it for a new team like McLaren?
Well, it's very new to us. We've got a great couple technology partnerships that have helped kind of get us smarter on off-road racing, because that's a discipline we've never been around before, but it's also a new championship, so we felt we're 1 year behind in the knowledge curve because it's 1 year in, but we're not 10 years behind.
What about 2023? What can the team achieve next year?
I'd like to think we can compete for the championship. We won our last race, but unfortunately we had some penalty infringements, driver related, not kind of technology or technical related, which has happened to most of the teams and drivers, but it was great to be competitive and win. So we've now raised our expectations. We know we can win, and going to try and do it on a more regular basis.
Just a final word on the job that Tanner and Emma did.
Tanner and Emma are great. I mean, what's cool is Emma's from New Zealand. We picked her because she was the best driver. Just an added bonus that she happens to be from the same country as our founder, and Tanner's he's a hoot, as they would say in the States. He's brave, literally. You should see some of the stunts he's done. He's very well presented as a former presenter. He's a world championship caliber driver, and the two of them have been great to work with.
So from Extreme E, it is completely logical that McLaren goes into Formula E. But why now?
Oh, it's a great opportunity. Mercedes was choosing to exit the sport. There's now what's Generation 3, so we felt like there's going to be a little bit of a reset. Of course, we still have a lot to learn, but the opportunity to acquire the team that's won the last 2 championships, keep the team intact, led by Ian James, who's very successfully led them to their last 2 world championships. We felt it was a great opportunity to hit the ground running with an existing team that already knows how to win into a new generation. So there's a little bit of a reset going on. And we ultimately decided to enter it because in a very short period of time, we saw how successful Extreme E was for our fans, our employees, and our partners. And we felt, let's double down because sustainability is that important to us.
So the way you're doing it means that you don't feel you're 8 seasons behind the opposition.
So we're very excited to be able to have the Mercedes employees, now be McLaren employees. I think given our history with Mercedes, that was a nice way to transition from the Mercedes family into the McLaren family. So excited to work with all the men and women on the racing team.
Tell us about your driver choice, René Rast, Jake Hughes. Why them?
Well, starting with René, he's a champion, recognized to be extremely fast racing driver, experienced. He's been in Formula E, so we were very happy to get René. And then Jake has a great history with the former Mercedes team as their simulator and reserve driver, and so that was someone that Ian felt he and the engineers knew well, had done a lot of development work for him, and had earned his opportunity. And so it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing both of them on the grid next year.
Zak, you're a visionary. How can you use McLaren's experience in other categories to just help push and expand Formula E?
Well, I think, with all these different forms of motor racing, there's a lot I see in Formula One that they could learn from INDYCAR, and INDYCAR can learn from Formula E, and vice versa. So I think having that perspective, all these different racing series, gives you a chance to try things. So a good example of that in Formula One, we did our iconic Golf livery. Livery changes weren't something that happened that often in Formula One. In NASCAR, it happened all the time. So it was like, I bet it's going to have a good impact here. And the fans loved it. So I think whether it's through entertainment or bringing the drivers together, we do some events out in Laguna Seca where we bring Mika together and Pato and Tanner. And so there's a lot of cross-pollination that we do with our family of drivers and our family of racing activities.
How have you expanded McLaren's eSport offering since 2017?
We were one of the first Formula One teams to develop our own esports platform. It's something that we've built on every single year. It's great with our partners that are involved. And we very much consider esports a big part of our racing platform. We consider our esports drivers to be part of the McLaren family of drivers. And it's a great opportunity to put a steering wheel in the hand of young men and women and give them an opportunity to literally feel how great our sport is.
In your eyes, Zak, how does the future of McLaren look?
I think the future looks very, very exciting. A lot of work ahead of us. We want to compete for the World Championship. In the World Championships we compete in, we want to win the Indy 500. We want to win the INDYCAR Championship. So we just have a few goals set out. We want to be the most engaged and exciting racing team with our fans and our partners. So a lot of hard work ahead of us, some big goals, one step at a time. But I think we have all the support from our fans, our partners, our shareholders, and a highly motivated racing team and teams to be able to accomplish those goals, but we've got some tough competition.
Do you dream of the day when McLaren wins championships in all 5 series in the same calendar year?
I'll start by dreaming that they win each one. I don't want to get too greedy and say in 1 year, but that would be great. And I think you got to shoot for the stars and see where you end up when you're all said and done.
And looking further ahead, are there any series that you'd like to add to what you already have?
I'd love to see us at Le Mans in sports car racing. So, we have a lot going on. The stars all need to align, be in the right place at the right time, make sure we're happy with our existing programs. But if I could wave a magic wand and be in one other racing series, it would be in sports cars.
You're so passionate about racing. How special was it to share the track with your racing hero, Mario Andretti in Austin?
That was unbelievable. I've been able to share the track with Mika Hakkinen, which is unbelievable. And it's definitely a pinch me moment that, when I got into racing, my first race was the 1981 Long Beach Grand Prix, which Alan Jones won. But the race I went to that got me into racing was the 1987 Long Beach Grand Prix, which Mario won. And I remember the grandstand I was in and seeing him from a distance, and to kind of fast forward, be on a Formula One track racing Formula One cars with Mario Andretti was a dream come true.
Zak, it's been a tough year for the team, particularly in Formula One. What's your message to our loyal and passionate fans?
We've got the best fans in the world, and hopefully we can keep keep them entertained, and get to the front, cheer us on. We can feel the support, and it's very motivating for us. So hang in there with us, keep cheering us on.
Zak, it's been wonderful to chat. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. I love chatting motor racing.